concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, guys? It's Monday night. It's time to stream. Boom. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and let's all learn something today. How you guys doing? Checking out the chat. Say hello in the chat, everybody. TAC FPV's in the chat. TAC FPV's latest vlog was freaking hilarious, and I loved every minute of it. In fact, while I'm saying hi to the chat, let me just pop on over to something from the same night as TAC's latest vlog. Any minute now, it'll pop up. Come on. There you go. Look at this. I want to show you guys this while I greet PD Tech. Hello. Shift FPV. Let's go. Joshua Bardwell. This is my second to last heat at the whoop race that Jesse Perkins threw in Knoxville. Let's see here. Where am I? Am I armed yet? Let's just skip ahead slightly. We going anywhere? To show you guys that, yes, I can too. Oh, look at that guy ahead of me. Don't worry, he's going down, or she, whoever that is. Tim Weaver, what's up from Northwest Indiana? You've got to be specific there. Northwest Indiana, very important. 533 Switchback. Kimbo FPV's building the 533 Switchback. That is Evan Turner, Heads Up FPV, the current multi-GP champion. That is his frame, and he's also got some motors. He is going to come over to my house sometime soon and show me how to go fast and a few other things too. Wrong Way FPV. Y'all like that Nintendo video from Rotor Riot flying with an NES controller? Glad you like that. Skull 1964 stumped me on a question about my flight controller. Technically, Skull, you stumped me on a question about the STM32F4 chip. I am the FPV know-it-all, not the STM32 component know-it-all. I don't know about soldering chips on, dude, but yeah, you did stump me. That is true. What's the topic? Roscoe Sticks. The topic is whatever. You see me? You see that? You see me? That was some good. Come on now. Come on now. Boom. Come on now. I took second place in that race, not first place, so I guess I maybe have a little room to improve, but come on now. I just got to show you guys I can fly. Oh. No beating Rab. Sam T. For the record, I took second place in the sportsman class. That's the slow guys. The fast guys included people like Alex Vanover, people like Evan Turner, and Rab FPV. Let's see if I can real quick find a video of him, because he was flipping unbelievable. This can't be him. That can't be him. I can't find him. Rab FPV. This guy was... I can't find him. Sorry, guys. He was ridiculously fast. He was ridiculous. And he actually schooled both Vanover and Evan Turner and the other fast guys in Knoxville. So Rab FPV, if you're out there watching, one up for you, buddy. Quaderex, can you bind the 4649T with a jumper? I don't see why not. Tack, if you got 6th in pro class, I'm switching to pro class. Because I can't have... Because, I mean, I think anyone would agree... Wait, what were your times, Tack? We got to find the... Where's the... How did Tack do? Let's find out. Overall results and ranking. Final standings. Pros. Tack FPV got 6, but what were his lap times? Did he beat... Like, let's see. Results, practice round 1, rankings. Let's look at... No, I want the times, though. Results. Okay, here we go. Tack FPV, 7:209. Did you really get 209? I don't believe 7 laps, though. That's got to be a misread. Tack, did you really get 7 laps? Come on, dude. That's better than me. Tack, I'm switching officially to pro class because I can't have Tack FPV out there saying he's faster than me. No offense, Tack. I just can't have that. This assumes that if I switch to pro class, I'll beat Tack. What if I switch to pro class and then Tack beats me? At least now in sportsman, I can say, well, I don't know. I mean, he could. I mean, we were just in different classes. Josh Walsh wants to know if 48K PWM has any advantages for 5-inch sized motors. Josh, the bigger the motor, the less the efficiency gain that you get. So on the little 08 motors, such as used on Tiny Whoops, and the 11s XX motors, such as used on Toothpicks, there is a substantial and sometimes substantial gain in flight time. On 5-inch, on anything from, let's say, like a 3-inch prop and up, the difference in flight time and efficiency is almost unnoticeable, but 48K PWM still does give smoother motors, especially for freestyle. It can make a big difference in mid-throttle oscillation. So I still recommend running 48K PWM, at least if you are a freestyle pilot or going for smooth cinematic flying. If you're a racer, I think you could argue that the lower PWM gives you a little bit better handling. Derek Dvorak says, I'm voting Tack for the Rotor Riot team. Well, I don't know if you saw Tack's vlog, but he actually called Drew. Drew came up from Orlando to go to that race, and Tack took the moment to take Drew to the side and tell him that he was officially quitting Rotor Riot. Tack had never been hired for Rotor Riot, but it just seemed like the thing to do. If you think about it, people go on Rotor Riot. Nobody's heard of them. They go on Rotor Riot. People are like, hey, who is this pilot? This pilot's pretty good. And speaking from my own experience, just being around a high caliber of pilots makes you a better pilot. I am a much better pilot. I'm still not as good as Drew. You know, let's be realistic, but I'm a much better pilot than I was 2 years ago has it been 2 years since I joined Rotor Riot? So, the come on Rotor Riot, you become a better pilot, you become more popular, and then you quit and you go on about your life. And Tack's smart. Because Tack's cut the middleman right out, and he just quit Rotor Riot. So I'm looking forward to Tack just blowing up from now on. All right. Welcome to the live stream, everybody. In case you're new here, this is what we do. I BS a little bit at the beginning of the live stream, but then I get down to business and I start answering questions. This is my main screen. This is my finger on the pulse of the FPV community. Up here in the upper right, this is you guys in the chat. Up here in the lower right, these are the people who give a super chat, in case you don't know what that is. If you want to make sure I notice your question. See, like, look at all these questions going by. I'm just talking. I'm not paying attention. If you want to make sure I notice your question, hit the $ right here, just at the bottom of the chat window. Throw a super chat up. It gives a couple bucks to me, and I will definitely, almost certainly not forget to answer your question. And over here in the left, these beautiful people are my patrons over at patreon.com. You can join them in my Discord server for as little as $2 a month or more if you feel like I earned it. See, Joe Graves FPV just gave me a $2 super chat. Joe Graves could have joined my Patreon for $2 and be over in the Discord. You know, I don't know. People seem to value that. So let's do it. There's a lot of people asking who should the next Rotor Riot pilot be. Ferrati was in an episode with us. Ferrati's a super cool guy. Ferrati might actually be too nice. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking out my ass. Don't take this to mean anything. But Ferrati, he is so cool and nice and pleasant, and I'm just not sure joining Rotor Riot would be good for him. Because you join Rotor Riot, and then just half the world spends all day telling you you're awful. And it takes a certain kind of personality to deal with that. And not everybody has it. I'm not sure I would want to subject him to that. He seems like he's got a great head on his shoulders. Just really, you know, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. Ferrati was it was cool to get to meet him, though. I remember watching Ferrati and his son flying way back when I was first getting into FPV. Relo in the Discord. Thank you for being a patron, Relo. I'm getting asterisks on the bottom of the OSD, accompanied with twitches on a brand new Gep RC Mark III bind and fly. The stars and the OSD are the beeper. So there's a beeper that the flight controller will beep if there's an error message or something like that. But since you don't have a beeper, the OSD also pops up the stars. So the flight controller's beeping at you for some reason. The twitches are probably the motors trying to beep, I'm going to guess. But something is beeping. What's beeping? That's the question. Joe Graves is a patron. Thank you, Joe Graves. King Chummy. Not going to answer that question, King Chummy, but I ask myself that every day. Whatever happened to Envy Astro? I don't know, ENF. Envy Astro, did he go somewhere? Envy Astro and who was his partner in crime over on YouTube? Those guys were pretty badass, I'll tell you what. Wrong Way FPV. Oh, no, now we're talking. No. Guys, we're not going to... Listen, I mean, let's not turn this into the Rotor Riot live stream. Rotor Riot can do its own live stream. There's some questions about, like, oh, you know, we're not going to do that. If you want to know questions about, like, Rotor Riot's pilots, ask them. And it's not my place to speak for anybody. So... Ciati would be a nice addition. Yeah, maybe. The thing is, here's the thing. Here's what I will say. It takes more than just, I mean, there are certain intangible characteristics that are required to be a cast member. And one of them is that you pretty much have to be able to take time off, like a week every month, away from your life to go shoot. And very few people can actually do that. Anyway, I don't know. Wrong Way FPV, no hard feelings, dude. Wrong Way says I wasn't trying to start anything. I know. No hard feelings, dude. No, not at all. I mean, I only say that because I'll just go off on a rant, and then people will be like, oh my god, I didn't come to Joshua's live stream to talk about Rotor Riot. Okay. Here's what let's talk about. Speaking of Jesse Perkins and Tiny Whoops, have you guys seen this? This is the Tiny Whoop 1S discharger. I have been working with Newbie Drone to make a charger that can storage charge a 1S battery. This is something that doesn't exist, strangely. Well, Jesse Perkins kind of beat me to the punch. So F you, Jesse Perkins, and also thank you. This will you just plug it in and it storage charges your battery. Very nice. It does it really super slowly. I'm hoping that the one I develop will do it faster. And it only discharges, it doesn't charge. But Still, very cool, very cool. It discharges to 3.8 volts. That's exactly right. License to drive. Very cool. So check that out over on tinywhoop.com. Just a pretty cool product. The other window that I've got up to talk about at the beginning of the stream is this. I talked about this in yesterday's stream, so if you hear this twice, I apologize, but I feel like it's important enough, and not everybody attends both streams. Have you heard about the new FreeSky firmware? There's a new FreeSky ACCST firmware, and it's ACCST firmware version 201. And here's the thing about this. This new FreeSky firmware is not backwards compatible with earlier firmware versions. I have to say, disclaimer, I have not pulled out one of my radios to test this yet. I'm just going off of what people are telling me. But I've asked several places and said, can anybody confirm me? And people are telling me the same thing. So I think this information is correct. When you flash to the 2X20 firmware, you can no longer bind to older firmwares. And FreeSky firmware has never worked like this before. You have always been able, and sometimes that creates problems. You bind, and then you have mismatched firmware, but usually it works fine. So you upgrade your receiver to firmware 201, and now you can't bind until you update your radio. Okay, so you update your radio to 201, but now you can't bind. You have to update all your other receivers. Okay, fine, so you do that. Oops, wait a minute. Now you can't bind to your TinyWhoop with the Crazy Bee flight controller in it, because it has a Betaflight based SPI receiver built in, and Betaflight can't do that. So it sure seems like with this firmware update, FreeSky has broken compatibility with all those SPI receivers. And the reason, I think that the reason that they probably did that, I mean, if I imagine what FreeSky is thinking, it's the same thing they're thinking with Access, where when you went to Access radios, now you can't have any, there's all this encryption on it, and you can't have any third-party modules or anything. And I think FreeSky is trying to lock out third-party receivers using the D16 protocol. And that's what this is for, in my opinion. And, you know, you decide how you feel about that. But, I mean, whether you are okay with that or not, the fact that I don't see any way that this new firmware can work with, like, Betaflight SPI receivers, because they would have to open source the protocol, which means that third party could make receivers based on it, and I don't think they're going to do that. I don't see that. That seems... So, way to go, FreeSky. I guess. Whoa, MBFPV is doing Crossfire Shot. MBFPV. Crossfire Shot. That's a new... Crossfire Shot is a new firmware for Tyrannus radios, for OpenTX radios, that improves the latency of the link between the radio and the module. So you guys know that Crossfire has ultra-low latency, but that's the radio link between the module and the flight controller and the receiver. But what about between the radio and the module? That actually has more latency than you realize. And Crossfire Shot's supposed to fix that. That's pretty exciting. It's not released yet, is it, MB? It's when it... Yeah. It's still in, like, beta, right? Dan Lasowski wants to know how to put Crossfire on the X9D SE 2019. Or, sorry, David Lasowski. David, it's not a big deal. The X9D SE 2019 has a JR module bay in the back, so the micro module will just plug in just like any other radio. But FreeSky didn't include the Crossfire capability in the firmware because they don't want you using Crossfire. They want you using R9. And that's their prerogative. They can ship the radio with whatever firmware they want. You will need to flash OpenTX to the radio, not the FreeSky version of OpenTX that it's shipped with. And so you'll download OpenTX Companion and you'll flash the actual release of OpenTX. That will give you the option to do Crossfire. You'll also need to download the SD card contents. Then you'll be good to go. Let's see. It's out. Crossfire Shot is out. What do I need to do? Is it just in, like, update in TBS H&X? Don't I also need a custom version of OpenTX? What version of OpenTX works with Crossfire Shot? Urinate wants to know. Urinate's asking a question in the Discord about the FCC remote ID approved areas, the FRIA areas, where people will be allowed to fly without remote ID hardware. And Urinate asks, wow, Urinate, wow, I just got that. Thanks for that username. And I'm about to get a community guideline strike, so thanks for that also. Your Innate says, can any random person apply for a FRIA? Like, you have property. Could my land become a FRIA? In order for my land to become a FRIA, it would have to be recognized by a community-based organization as a community flight area. So we would need a CBO to designate my area as such. Part of the problem is that the FAA hasn't defined what a CBO is. Everyone assumes that the AMA will be a CBO, but nobody's actually defined legally what a CBO would be or how you become a CBO. But then you have to ask the question, would the AMA declare that, like, my house or your farm was a FRIA? Probably not. So you're out of luck there. MBFPV says, Crossfire firmware 324 or 325 and the TBS nightly build of OpenTX. Where do you get the TBS nightly build of OpenTX then, MB? Yeah, where do you get that? That all sounds very interesting. Crossfire shot. Yeah. Yeah, Vic and everyone's pointing out that I've been saying that name since the last stream. I only just got it. That's how dense I am. So take that for what you will. Flacky says, how about the latency between the DX9 and the Crossfire module? Flacky, I don't know the specifics, but I would guess that Horizon Hobby did a pretty good job tuning the latency of the Spectrum interface to the Crossfire module. They have a pretty good history of that. Oh, MBFPV says you have to go to the Facebook TBS Lounge to get access to the nightly build of OpenTX. Too bad, so sad. I am blocked from that group, so I will not be able to get that. I hope it goes into public release sometime soon and is available for people who are Crossfire consumers. I purchased my Crossfire gear at retail, just like everybody else, and maybe soon I'll get access to that. Now I'm just whining. I'm sure somebody will get me the links. Let's get a couple of these super chats out of the way. We got a couple super chats coming in. Joe Graves, FPV, thanks for $2. Droney Boy, thanks for $2. Peter Goskurth, $2, asking HDO2 or Orca. It's going to cost you way more than $2 to get me to tell you which of those two I like the best. They are both really good, and they appeal to different people for different reasons. So I would never presume to tell you which one you should buy. It depends on your values, and you can watch the review of both of them to see how it comes down for you. But I will say this. As somebody with corrective lenses, the diopter correction on the HDO2s for me is a killer feature. There's two things about the diopter correction on the HDO2s that mean a lot. Number one, when I take the goggles off and I hand them to somebody to spectate, and I'm like, here, watch this guy fly. And I got to tell you, I'm so passionate whenever anybody walks up during a race, whenever we're flying, whenever somebody walks up, I try so hard to get them to look in the goggles, like not in a weird way, but because I think that's the aha moment where people go, this is so cool, or maybe they vomit. 50-50. So I try to get goggles on them, but if I have my lenses in, my Orca goggles, I got to take the lenses out, and that's a pain, and I might scratch the lenses, and I might lose the lenses. But with the HDO2s, I just adjust the diopters, hand the goggles over. It's fine. The other thing is that with the lenses, dirt can get behind the lenses, and it's kind of annoying to clean, and that doesn't happen with the HDO2s. So I lean toward the HDO2s most of the time. If I know I'm going out to record like some DVR, I grab the Orcas because the DVR is pretty cool. Tommy Zegers, thanks for $2. Acro Trainer, I'm good at sim, but I keep crashing. Tommy Zegers, Acro Trainer is okay for like learning line of sight, but not so good for FPV. And probably you just need to practice more in the sim if you're not confident in real life. The Barber, thanks for 10 bucks. You have mentioned how a well-tuned quad will drift less. I'm having trouble deciding if my tune could be a small weak link in me being more precise. Thanks for everything. The Barber, if you suspect a thing like that, then try a different tune. If you have a micro quad, look for a Project Mockingbird tune. They are really good tunes. If you have a 5-inch quad, one thing you can easily do is raise feed forward. Raise feed forward as high as maybe 200. For Betaflight 4.1, right? And it'll significantly sharpen the stick feel, and see if you like that. Santee, thanks for $5 in the super chat. My 2 Betaflight whoops have the same problem. Every 5 seconds during a hover, the motors suddenly get noisy and yaw goes nuts. What would you check? Well, since it's happening on 2 different quads, I think it's your transmitter, because that's the common link, right? So maybe the yaw gimbal on your transmitter is messed up. Here's how to test that. Do it in the simulator. If the simulator, plug your transmitter into your computer and fly on a simulator, and if the simulator does it, you know it's not like the flight controller or the mechanics. Dustin Warren gives $10 and says, TAC is awesome. Well, TAC, thank you for earning me $10 from Dustin Warren. You are awesome, TAC, despite the things I say about you. Mr. Syncopad, thanks for €1. I have to pick on TAC because he has such a powerful personality and so funny, and I got to keep him down. He's from Tennessee. I can't have somebody from Evan Turner's already one of the fastest pilots in the world. I guess I have nothing to be afraid of. All right. I'm looking up the Discord here. They're all talking amongst themselves, but doesn't look like any questions from me. Would you guys buy that new fake jumper TX-T8SG, which is made by Hobby Porter? Donald Sniffa, the Hobby Porter or Radio Master brand are not fake. The backstory there is the guy who runs Hobby Porter, his name is Owen Lee, and he was partners with the guys who run Jumper, whose name it's not coming to me at this exact moment, but I've talked to Owen Lee recently, so his name is fresh in my mind. They had a disagreement, a business disagreement of some kind. I don't know the details. They split, and they agreed that they would both take the intellectual property of the Jumper company, and they would both take it and share it equally. So when you see Hobby Porter or Radio Master making a Jumper clone, it's not a clone, it's a sister. But it's all legit and above board, so it's no problem. What happened to Snake FPV and everything got deleted? Asks David Lasowski. I don't know. Did Snake FPV delete all this stuff? Yikes. He was pretty awesome, too. My favorite videos from Snake were the blind side-by-side tests where you'd have, like, Mr. Steele set 2 different quads up the same and he wouldn't know which one got plugged in. Yeah. Those are my favorites. What technology is the DJI HD digital FPV system using, asks Morning View. Morning View, whatever it's using is proprietary. It's DJI proprietary silicon. If you open it up, at least some of the key chips are going to be just made by DJI, and no one will know what they are. What do you use to lubricate Tyrannus gimbals, asks Will FPV. Will FPV, you shouldn't need to like lube the bearings, I don't think. You might want to put some kind of lubrication on the crossbar so it slides smoother. I know one guy, there's a Teflon tape that you can get for, I think it's for 3D printer beds, and he puts it on his throttle slider to make the throttle move smoother. I haven't tried any of that personally though. Foxeer Wildfire. Foxeer Wildfire is in the mail. Foxeer did not send me a pre-release copy. I'm not offended. I don't presume. I just noticed that Albert Kim got one and Bot Grinder got one and I didn't get one. And whenever a company doesn't send me pre-release, I take it in the most complimentary way possible. I assume that they thought I would be too hard on it. And they were like, we're too scared to send it to Bardwell. Oh, send it to Bot Grinder. That's so insulting to Bot Grinder. I don't really mean it, but I just have to soothe my ego somehow. So I bought a Foxeer Wildfire module, and it is in the mail. It's coming like tomorrow, and I'm probably going to take it to Chattanooga again. Hey, Tac, what are you doing Thursday? and go back and do some multipath testing and stuff. So we'll see about that. Yeah, that's coming. In fact, if you're curious what I'm up to, check this out. Let me show you something. This is a secret hidden page on my website. Here's the link. It is my editorial calendar. I'm trying to be more organized in 2020 and actually like plan my schedule. And here is what's coming up on my channel. And so you can actually see, like Fox-Ear Wildfire is currently scheduled to come out Wednesday the 5th. Eachine EV300D is scheduled to come out on the 6th. By the way, that's what's here behind me. So you can go check that out. It is always subject to change. So don't freak out if it changes or if it doesn't come out. But Botgrinder doesn't have to send it back, Wrong Way FPV. I'm sure that was just a joke. I'm sure that's just a joke. They engraved his name on it, for goodness sakes. He talked about sending the Orca goggles back. It's possible he had to send the Orca goggles back because those are really expensive. I'm sure he didn't have to send the Fox-Ear Wildfire module back. Anonix wants to know, should there be any relationship between the black box logging frequency and the PID loop frequency? No, Anonix, there should not be. The black box logging frequency determines the highest frequency that can be logged from the gyro. There's a thing called the Nyquist theorem, which basically says that if you're logging at 1 kilohertz, you take half of that, and you can sample up to 500 hertz without distortion. And so if you're just trying to like record for a stick overlay, I mean, even like 500 hertz or 100 hertz would be fine. But if you're trying to do filters and PIDs, I think you need to be logging at 2 kilohertz. That gives you up to 1 kilohertz of accurate data. And there's not much above 1 kilohertz anyway. Like the motors are down around 300 to 600 hertz. And there's little bits of stuff up around 800 or 900. But above about 1,000 hertz, there's nothing. So if you log at 2 kilohertz, then you get everything up to 1,000, and that's where I think you need to be. But that has nothing to do with your PID loop frequency. Adam Bostwick wants to know my thoughts about the protest. You're talking about the UFDA protest. I think it's fantastic. It's possible I'll go. I don't know. I mean, it depends on my schedule, but I think it's fantastic. I think UFDA is awesome. Let me see if I can find a link to that to like post to you guys on the group. Where's the UFDA protest? Yeah, that's it. There we go. Mark your calendars. This is happening. Here we go. UFDA crew. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. UFDA crew has a protest February 29th at the FAA headquarters in Hancock Park in Washington, D.C. The protest, the permit has been filed. Here, I'm going. There we go. Check that out. It should be pretty freaking interesting. That is 3 days before the comment period ends, by the way. And I think this is great because everyone loves UFDA crew. And if anyone can bring us all together, it's got to be them. The memes will save us. Skadoosh, you're talking about the Orca goggles, not the... Botgrinder had to send back the Orca goggles, I heard. I don't know if that's true, but he said... and I don't think he had to send back his Wildfire module, though. Yeah. TBX1024 wants to know if there's a protocol or signal specification on how to interface with transmitter modules to port OpenTX to a custom target. TBX1024, the code is open source, so... I mean, at the end of the day, you've got the code and you can derive the protocol, but I don't know if there's actually, like, documentation. Duck FPV, you got it backwards, my friend. I love how Bardwell's going to a protest, yet his sponsor, Rotor Riot's the reason for needing a protest. Let me straighten you out here. Number one, Rotor Riot's not my sponsor. Nobody sponsors me. I don't have sponsors. Sometimes vendors send gear for review. That is true. That's not really a sponsorship. I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I don't even look at my relationship with like Luminaire makes my branded motor. I don't even look at that as a sponsorship. I wanted a particular motor made, and I said, Luminaire, will you make this motor for me? And in exchange for you making me the motor that I want, I will let you put my name on it and you can sell it. But they don't send me free motors. Okay, when my motor first came out, they sent me 8 motors. And then, of course, every month when the motors sell, they send me a check. That's not sponsorship. That's, I don't know, call it what you will. But Rotor Riot's not my sponsor, and they're not my employer. Ferrari appeared in an episode. I appear in episodes. Nurk appeared in an episode. That's it. That's the extent of it. Okay, so then, Rotor Riot's the reason for this. No, absolutely not. Who is the reason why we are being regulated right now? Is it Rotor Riot because they dove that bridge in Canada? Is it some jackass who landed his drone, fail-safed his drone at McCarran Airport in Vegas? Is it that dumb MF who flew a drone literally down the middle of a 2-way street while cars were driving by on either side? You didn't see this video. Someone posted this video in my Discord or somewhere, and I was like, oh my God, pick the worst example of someone misusing a drone you can think of, and they are not the reason this is happening. And the more time you spend blaming them, the less time you are looking at the real cause. Who made this happen? Department of Homeland Security, who's afraid of terrorists with drones with bombs on them or guns on them. Jeff Bezos, who wants his Amazon drones to be able to deliver stuff to your house. They are the people who are making this happen. It is not I'm not even going to debate with you of whether Rotor Riot is ruining the hobby or not. I appear on Rotor Riot, so obviously I don't think they are, but I'm not even going to debate that. We don't need to debate that because none of that even matters. That's all noise. That's like the red ants and the black ants are on the kitchen floor and they're having a fight. And you're like just trying to make dinner and you just sweep them all out of the way. Whose fault is it? Nobody. They don't even notice us. So we need to fight the people who are actually causing it, and saying so-and-so is ruining the hobby and causing it. That is part of the problem. Okay. Okay. Matt Ryan, thank you for $2. Any thoughts on the best 6S DJI bind and fly? HD1 out of stock. I should look at the comments, but when I make a rant like that, and actually respond to the comments rather than going straight to the super chats. Duck FPV. Oh, okay. Apparently Red Cat's the reason. No, Red Cat is not the reason. You've no freaking idea. Oh my God. Do you know Red Cat? What is the freaking market cap or whatever of Red Cat? Red Cat is a tiny freaking company in Puerto Rico. Compared to the FPV hobby, Red Cat is, a big deal. Red Cat bought Rotor Riot. Look how much money they have. $3 million or whatever. Wow. That's freaking pocket change. That's pennies on the floor. Look at the companies that are on the Drone Advisory Committee that advised the FAA. The AMA. The AMA lobbied $500,000, whatever. The freaking Boeing, freaking the fire chief of New York City, the Airline Pilots Association. These are big players. Even if Red Cat wanted to ruin the hobby and sell it out for money, they're so small. No one's listening. So Red Cat might, even if you think Red Cat has the worst possible intentions, and after the tweets they made, I don't blame you. After the tweets they made, I don't blame you. Red Cat's Twitter feed was a freaking public relations disaster. But doesn't matter. That they're not the problem. Okay. Let's move on. Jack, Thank you for $2 in the super chat. I'm confused about the 250-gram class. Jack, anything under the current proposed rule, anything under 250 grams would be exempt. It doesn't matter. You can fly it anywhere. Joshua Lefto, when is my next YouTube giveaway? I'm going to do my YouTube. I'll do my big new product roundup and giveaway at the beginning of the month. We're just now coming to the end of January. The next one will be at the beginning of February. So just maybe next week-ish. You can always check my editorial calendar, which I linked earlier. John Lawson, thank you for $10. Well said. What about why the FAA is trying to shut down the hobby? It's not Rotor Riot. Way to answer, Duck. Duck, no hard feelings. I feel like the more time we spend saying this is TBS's fault, this is Free Sky's fault, this is Rotor Riot's fault, this is UFDA crew's fault. We all saw the memes, UFDA crew. You think the FAA is going to take those memes lying down? This is none of our fault, because there are players. There are players that are so much bigger than us, and we all have to fight them. When the giant comes along, all the little whatever have to throw their spears. I'm thinking of Gulliver's Travels, right? They all have to fight the giant. They can't squabble amongst themselves. Yeah, Boyd, thank you for $5. Coelho FPV, thank you for $5. Making another regulatory law is not going to de-weaponize drones. Well, that's a whole nother point, Coelho. Even if you say all these drones need to be registered and have transponders, guess what? If terrorists want to, they're still going to build their own. Give me a break. But anyway, Matt Ryan, thank you for $2. Any thoughts on the best 6S DJI Bind and Fly HD1 out of stock? Best is awful hard, but here is the ultimate FPV shopping list. It's my website where I have all my product recommendations. There is a page about the DJI new layer. That's unfortunate. I got to fix that. The DJI high definition digital FPV system. And if you can't get the Rotor Riot HD1, what about the Lumineer QAVR HD bundle? I mean, you can hardly go wrong buying from Get FPV. They're a great vendor. I'm sure that Catalyst Machine Works would be happy to sell you a Banggood with 6S motors. That's going to be a real beast of a quad. So those are a couple ones you can check out. New layer. CTB, thank you for €2. Is the iFlight Turbo B 136 RS a good buy? I haven't tested that one myself, so I couldn't say for sure. We could take a look at it. And I would definitely... iFlight Turbo be interesting. Wow. That's an interesting design. Stretched X toothpicks. $135. I mean, I guess Albert Kim's reviewed it. Let's see what he has to say. iFlight has a pretty good track record. I'm inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I don't know for sure because I haven't reviewed it. So I would have to pass on that one. Thank you for your donation, though. Blanded Ray, thanks for $5. Just saying hello from the Atlanta Airport Lounge. Atlanta was my home airport for many, many years. Zane Man, thanks for $3.50. About $3.50. Yeah, about $3.50. Get away from my super chats, Loch Ness Monster. Vic and Air FPV, thanks for $5. What's the difference between the Crossfire Micro and the full-size module? The Crossfire Micro only goes up to 250 milliwatts. The full-size goes to 2 watts. That's the major difference. He says besides the screen. Coelho FPV, thanks for $5. Good evening. Thank you. Good evening. Sim Racing Garage, thank you for $20. Big donation. Thank you there. I have a new Kakute F7 HDV stack. It won't arm unless I set gyro calib limit equals 150. It means that the gyro is noisy. If you can get it to arm consistently with a gyro calib limit of 150, just go with it. But it does mean the gyro is a little flaky, and you might have other problems. You might need to replace the gyro or replace the flight controller in the long term. Brad Clark, thanks for $20. No question, just a donation. Thank you, Brad. Thanks, very generous. Mr. Syncopad, thanks for €1. Dustin Warren, we're back to TAC is awesome. Excellent. How we doing over in the Discord? Hey, Discord. What's up, buddy? What's up, guys? The FAA does not do practical. So what, man asks, my dad gave me one of his SD cards and I put it in my Eachine EV800Ds. For DVR, my goggles randomly turned off in flight multiple times. You sure it's the SD card? So what, man? That's weird. I mean, if you suspect the SD card, take the SD card out. Sounds to me like it's a... I mean, I would suspect the battery, dude. Piranha 32 wants to know how to use an external load resistor with the D6 Pro. When I connect it to the XT60 connector in the back, the charger shuts down. Correct me if I'm wrong, Piranha, but the D6 Pro, I don't know if I've ever done that. Is that the HobbyMate Duo? With the HobbyMate Duo, you put the resistor on the output side and the batteries to be discharged on the back. So I think you've got it backwards, Piranha. But then how is it powered on? I don't know how you've got it powered on if it's plugged into the back. Ooh. Let's see here. Dark Side of Oz says I should change my recommended solder flux to MG Chemicals 8341. Interesting. I think I have SRA clean, no clean soldered there right now. It's always worked well for me. When am I ending the stream? About 10 p.m. is when I usually end the stream. How robust is the DJI Air unit against crashes? Asks Z-Mouse FPV. Z-Mouse, I have never destroyed one. No, in fact, I can't think of anyone who has destroyed one. It's incredibly robust. People have powered it on without the antennas. They have overvolting it will destroy it. I take that back. Overvolting will destroy it, but I've seen them take ridiculous abuse and not die. The biggest fault that the Air unit has mechanically is that the MMCX connector can sometimes break off the antenna. That's more the antenna's fault than the DJI Air unit, but once it breaks off, it leaves a little piece inside the MMCX connector, and it can be impossible to get out. I've known people who had to desolder the MMCX connector and solder a new one on. But as long as the antenna stays secure, it's nearly indestructible. Anyone? Yeah. Burned a 4-in-1 resistor in a, you mean a 4-in-1 ESC? In a puddle. Arms and everything works. Can I trust it, Mr. Syncopad? Mr. Syncopad, just because the electronics got wet doesn't mean they're damaged, especially if you powered it down quickly. The biggest thing that will happen, though, is that there will be corrosion that will occur. And that can take time to build up. So it may be that the ESC works fine one day after you dry it out, but then a week later it starts having problems. I would be really... It could be fine forever, but I would definitely maybe not go fly over the ocean with that ESC. Your Innate says, is there a chart for noobs for important battery numbers, like when to land or disarm? The key thing you need to know is that storage voltage for a LiPo is 3.8 volts per cell. And then you just multiply by the number of cells. But 3.8 should be the number you remember, because then you can translate that to any number of cells. And then the discharge voltage where you stop flying and come home is, for me, it's about 3.5 volts per cell. Below that, the battery just has no oomph. And the exception to that is like little 300 milliamp hour 1S tiny whoop batteries. Those things, you just, if you don't run them down to like 3.1 volts, then they just don't have no flight time. So little 1S batteries, I run down to 3.1 or 3.2 volts. Don't ever go below 3.0 volts, though. There's permanent damage being done if you ever go below 3.0 volts. Let's see. Lynx wants to know what caused the smoke on the Air unit that I used to do the 1200 milliwatt mod. I was using tweezers like this. They have a conductive metal tip. And when I went in to push the button, I went in at an angle and I missed the button and I touched, it had to be VBAT. I touched VBAT on the board and it short-circuited to the frame, which is grounded. So actually the flame came out of the frame side of the tweezers, not the Air unit. AZ Drone Dude. I upgraded my RXSR to ACCST D16. but then I reverted back to 19112. Now it binds, but it doesn't function. Are you sure you didn't accidentally flash the F port firmware? If it binds, but it doesn't function, maybe you flashed F port and you didn't mean to. Your innate, you said 3.3 volts per cell for disarm. I mean, I think you may, I don't think I said that. Around 3.5 volts per cell, I stop flying and I land and I'm done. Below that, the quad just has no punch. And then for tiny whoops, I stop flying around 3.1, 3.2 volts. Yeah. The thing is, some people in the chat are saying that they prefer to land at 3.8 volts. That's true. If you land at 3.8, here's the thing. If you're flying and you're at 3.5 volts, as soon as you land, the battery will come back up a little bit, and you'll kind of be at 3.7, 3.8 volts. So you'll kind of be at storage. But if I land at 3.8 volts, my flight times are really not as long as I would prefer them to be. So, nice to meet you, Manamana FPV. Gustavo Ramor, thank you for 10 Brazilian reais. 1106 6300 kV is too much for 3-inch 3S. Hot all the time. My opinion, Gustavo, 1106. I mean, that depends on your all-up weight. If you have a toothpick-sized quad in the weight of about 75 to 100 grams, and you're running 1106 3-inch props, maybe. But even that seems maybe a little small for 3-inch props. A lot of those toothpicks are running 2.5-inch or 2-inch props. I think 1106 is just not enough motor for a 3-inch prop on most builds. 3S, I'm not sure about your KV. I don't have a baseline for that size of motor and KV on a 3-inch prop. Like a 1507, 3800 KV, 3-inch, 250 grams, 4S. So 3,800. So then they're around 2,800 kV on 6S. I feel like 6,300 kV is more of a 2-inch prop on 3S, but I'm not sure. Anybody's welcome to weigh in. I think you're just overpropping, Gustavo. Drib says my lighting is better than it's ever been. Yeah, Drib, I turned off the backlight. And now it's all just atmospheric. I do this every so often, just depending on my mood. Erwan Comps, I missed your super chat. No, I didn't. I just haven't got to it yet. I work backwards, Erwan. I work backwards from the end on the super chat, so I just haven't got to you yet. But I have now. Erwan Compes, I'm sorry, I'm probably mangling your name. 5 SGD in the super chat. What's the flight autonomy with the Rotorite DJI Cinewhoop? Autonomy? The Rotorite DJI Cinewhoop doesn't have any autonomous flight characteristics. You got to fly it. I don't think that's what you really mean, though. Flight autonomy. How do you increase it? Luminaire 1850 mAh battery. 1850 mAh is pretty big for a 3-inch Cinewhoop. That is a really big battery. Typically, Cinewhoops are flown with anywhere from 850 to maybe 1300, maybe 1500 milliamp hour. Autonomy, I think, is a key word that I'm not getting, Erwan, as to what you're trying to ask, though. Mikhail Blackstrom, thanks for 20 Swedish kroner. When am I coming to Europe to fly? I never plan to travel. People just talk me into it. So, when am I coming? I don't like to ever travel, period. But then every so often somebody makes me a deal that I can't refuse. So, I don't know. The Therapist FPV, thanks for $5. When am I coming back to Washington? I would go back to Washington to fly with Daniel from RC Test Flight again. He was awesome. Erwan, thank you for 10 more SGD. Liked your Rotorite Cinewhoop build. Good choice for cinematic. Do I need to buy anything else on top of the kit to build it? The Rotorite Cinewhoop, here's what I would suggest you do, Erwan. You pay extra for the Rotorite Cinewhoop build. because they give you a level of service that you don't get from like Diatone. So call Rotor Riot support. You'll probably end up talking to Tyler, maybe not Tyler, and say, dude, I'm buying the Cineweb. What else do I need? And they'll just tell you. I mean, you're going to need batteries. You're going to need, like, it doesn't come with battery. You're going to need a charger. You might need a transmitter. But just call the 800 number. Rotor Riot will help you out. That's why you pay a little extra when you buy from them. Rice's Life, thank you for $5. How do people find bandos and other places to fly? I live in the middle of nowhere. There's open farmland all around me. Dude, you may not live in Bando Town. If you have farmland all around you, that's what you got to fly. You just got to make the most of what you've got. If you may have to drive to a city. Sometimes you can find things on Google Earth looking in the satellites. But, you know, if you live in the Midwest in freaking Kansas or Iowa, there's probably not a lot of bandos. Writing Durance, thank you for $4. Is the ACLU involved in all? I've heard some people saying the ACLU may be getting involved with this fight. I don't know if that's true, though. Yin Yeah Boyd, thank you for $5. Jason, thank you for $3 Australian dollars. John Lawson, thank you for $10. Okay. I'm caught up on the Super Chats now. Rip the barns, says Drib. Yeah. Rip the barns. Rip what you got, man. Of course, if all you have is flat farm fields, it's not, there's only so much you can do with that. Yeah, Boyd says, my 3-inch uses 1407 3800 kV 4S. Yeah, so like when I think of a 3-inch build, I think of 14-sized motors or 15-sized motors with 4S batteries around 3800 kV with a weight around 200 to 250 grams. But some people are building these toothpick-style drones, which are down around 75 or 100 grams. And they're using like 1104 to 1106, maybe 1204 motors. And there's such a light weight that they can use a higher kV, and I'm not actually sure like how to dial that in. Joshua Leto, is it normal for a 2-inch to have the motors ramp up on their own even with the props on? The motors will ramp up some, but it probably won't take off and fly away. If it flies away, then you got a problem. So what man wants to know how to become a mod in the chat? That's a judgment call I make in the moment. A lot of people I've made mods are just because I want to make sure to not miss their comments, and it turns their comments blue. Zach Cagley points out the Diatone R349 has 1408s. Yeah, I really think 1104s on 3-inch props. And he said 6800 kV, didn't he? There's no way, but that's on 3S. I don't think there's any way that 6800 kV on 3S is a 3-inch prop. That's too high kV for 3-inch, isn't it? Am I crazy about that? That's like a 2S kV, I think. Right, yeah, Bren the Wizard agrees with me. I think it's, yeah. Flacky wants to know, have I tried the Vaz Cyclops or the TrueRC X-Air or other aftermarket antennas for DJI? What about for the Air unit? I haven't tried the Vaz Cyclops, but obviously Video Aerial Systems and Alex Grieve have such a spectacular reputation. I think it's a no-brainer that that's a great antenna with great performance. TrueRC X-Air I have tried. They're also good, but they're directional enough that, like, if you're flying over here, you can't see. If you fly like over here, you'll start to see the video break up and you'll have to turn your head, which I found a little annoying with the TrueRC X-Air. The TrueRC Stubby are really good Omni antennas, and they're a lot more low profile, so I like those. Let's see here. Kebab's now recommending 1303 motors. At what point, like, is he still staying in the weight of around 75 grams? Because he's gone to bigger and bigger motors. And I wonder if he's given up the weight. Next level code. Anybody's welcome to email me. If you have something you want to ask, you're welcome to email me. You don't have to ask permission. Drew is talking about this UFDA protest. Ladrib says February 29th, Washington, D.C. There's a UFDA protest at the FAA headquarters. And here's what I would like to say about that. Because there's people out there who are suspicious of Rotor Riot. They're like, Rotor Riot's sold out. Rotor Riot's going to ruin the hobby. Rotor Riot's going to sell us. I don't know. I'm not going to repeat all the names. Here's what I say, though. Look at a person's actions. Look at the evidence that is in front of your eyes. Drew, I know Drew will be the first to tell you that Twitter feed, Red Cat's tweets were a public relations disaster, that they were exactly what everybody was afraid was going to happen. And I know that when Rotor Riot saw that, they just like crapped their pants. And there are people who say that is Red Cat's true intentions, to regulate hobbyists and sell us all out. And they say, why if that's their true intentions would they buy Rotor Riot? And one way to look at it is that they bought Rotor Riot specifically so that someone could go, guys, this is not right, and help steer the ship the right direction. That's the charitable interpretation. But whether you believe that or not, look at the actions and the evidence that you can see. Do you trust the FPV Freedom Coalition is fighting for us? Go look at their website and find the 5 different documents that they've written talking about how to fight this. Look at what those documents say. Does that seem like the action of someone who is sincerely fighting this, or does it seem like the action of someone who's trying to sell us out? Use the evidence that you see and decide for yourself. And likewise, here's Drib in my chat trying to be like, come to the protest. And ask yourself if that's something someone would do if they actually were secretly in support of this. Anyway, that's all I'll say about that. I'm never asking you to take my word, because you might not agree with me. I will say, though, look at the evidence and decide for yourself, right? That's my game. But look at the evidence. Don't just look at Facebook posts of people making up stuff and fear-mongering. Actually look at the evidence. Okay. Is the GoPro 8 that much better than the Hero 7? David Lasowski. The GoPro 8 is freaking amazing, first of all. The Hypersmooth boost on the GoPro 8 could give Real Steady Go a run for its money. Now, the advantage of Real Steady Go is that you can decide exactly how to smooth it on your computer. But for some people, that's a disadvantage. You may not want to do that. It's so damn good. It's freaking annoying that the front glass is not changeable. And it's freaking annoying that it's heavier. It's like significantly heavier because of the metal base. And it's freaking annoying that it doesn't fit any of my freaking GoPro mounts for my 6 or my 7. GoPro, what are you doing? But it is a damn good camera. There's a new thing coming out. Check this out. You guys see this? Yeah, I don't think you've seen this. This is the Insta360 I'm thinking about getting one of these and trying it out. Now, here's what's cool about it. What? Yes, it does. Yes, it does come apart. And it's got switchable lens modules for either 360 or 4K wide angle. Yes! Holy crap. Can you believe that? Now, my first thought was, the first time I crash, it's going to explode into a million pieces. Okay, valid. But it is kind of, and it's got a 1-inch sensor. That's amazing. A 1-inch, the GoPro doesn't have a 1-inch sensor. Oh, yeah. John Davis. Oh, yeah. John Davis says session mod. Yeah, can I have a version of this that just has the lens and not the screen? Please, Insta360. Anyway, I'm thinking about getting one of these. This is pretty sick. If it can be made to not explode into 7 pieces when I crash. How much is it? Yeah, how much is it? Insta361R. Let's look at how much it is. No, not that window. This window. Is it for sale yet? It's not for sale yet. Damn. Oh well. Yeah, the bottom bit's the battery, so we need a bottom bit. Oh, it's apparently the 1-inch sensor is just one of the modules, not on all of the modules. Oh well. The UFDA protest page is, I've lost it. Where was it? I'm sorry, I've lost it. It's on the Road Riot Facebook though. How about that? Yeah, I would probably just wrap it, Chopper Girl. I agree. It's for sale, but not on Amazon? That's kind of weird. Insta361R. Where is it for sale? Just on the Insta page? Here we go. Insta361R on the Insta. Oh, $500. Well, that's a little more expensive than a GoPro. It's gonna. I mean, I guess. Oh, $550 for the. Oh wow, a 1-inch version. It's gonna hurt when you crash it. I'll tell you what. It is pretty freaking cool though. The Trio Edition. What's that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Gustavo Remor says the Insta361R says stabilization in the 4K module is worse than the GoPro and it doesn't work with Real Steady. Yeah, there I go back. There I go back to the GoPro as always. As always. Berker Kanatar wants to know, I built a quadcopter with 17-inch props. What flight controller board, software, or settings do you advise? Can iNav or Betaflight handle it? Yes, iNav or Betaflight can handle it, but you probably are going to need to tune the PIDs and filters specially. What I would suggest you do, Berker, is join one of the X-Class Facebook groups. Those guys are building with 13-inch props. Okay, it's not quite as big as yours, but it'll get you in the ballpark with PIDs and filters and hopefully help you out. If you're not intending to do acro stuff, I would strongly advise you to get something like a Pixhawk flight controller, which is really tailored more towards that kind of big drone and has a lot more autonomous capabilities. Enigma 4506, thank you for $2. Enigma has nothing to say except Bardwell. That's Drew's favorite thing to shout. John Larson, thank you for $5. Why does my Mamba F7 say I have 8 cells plugged in versus a 4-cell? Scale is 110, divider to 10, multiplier is 1. Well, John Larson, that is the correct scale for almost every flight controller out there. What I would do first is I would test voltage on the VBAT input and make sure you don't actually have 36 volts. I mean, you probably don't or it would fry. You may just have a broken voltage sensor, in which case there's not much you can do. Make sure it's set to internal ADC. Yeah, you're probably not flying acro on those 17-inch props, so probably you need to do Pixhawk, not Betaflight. Dark Side of Oz, thank you for $20. Big donation, thank you. Got a Copus 2 6S for Christmas. Spent many hours watching your vids, thank you. 80 hours of Sims later. Okay, 80 hours of Sim. I always say stay on the Sim until you feel comfortable, but 80 hours, I mean, if that's how long it took you, okay, but you're probably ready to go for the real thing. I think I'm ready to go fly into a wall. Do it. Love everything you do for the community. Awesome, dude. Thank you. That's really great. Gustavo, got you already. Gustavo, we are caught up. RC Compound has been trying to get this question through. Let me get it. In the Jumper T16 radio menu, there's a section where you select Japan, EU, USA. Where do you see that? Really? In which radio menu? I have no idea. Pick USA. USA is usually the one with the least restrictions. I have to look now. All right. All right, hang on. I got to look. I got to see if this is legit. So I'm going to guess you hold down the sys key to get to the radio setup and voice language, country code, America. Holy crap. Country code. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea. Set it to America. It's probably fine. Anybody know what the country code is in the OpenTX radio menu? Brandon Oman says more 3D printing vids. I'm trying, dude. I want to make good content. I don't want to make crap content. And it's tough when you are new and learning. But I'm doing my best, dude. I'm doing my best. Now, if you take a look at my editorial calendar, you can see. Well, hang on. Let me show you on Trello. Because on my Trello, it's actually colored. In my Trello, it's colored, and you can kind of see. So currently, it's the 27th of Monday. Here, let's go ahead and check this off. Mark as complete. We have completed this live. We haven't quite completed it yet, but don't tell anybody. No, don't archive. Unarchive. We want to mark as complete. Where's that? There we go. Complete. You can see I should get, yeah. So the next 3D printing content I have scheduled is I'm going to be putting BL Touch on my Sovol and doing the silent main board. But where am I going to put that? Like, could I move that up? I can move that up. You know what? No one gives a crap about it. Here's the thing. I always push my flying videos down. And then people are like, you never fly. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. But look, like, what am I going to bump? Look, I got the Cinewhoops this week. Then next week is the Foxeer Wildfire, the EV300D. There's a build video. I'm trying to do one build video a month. No, one every 2 months. So there's a build video. There's so many things to do in so few days. So, anyway. Brandon Oman, $500 3D printers? I don't have a recommendation, my friend. I'm still learning myself. Oh, so Richard Mason says, don't push your flying video down. Okay. See? Jestar FPV says, I was looking to get an analog module for the DJI goggles. What modules would let me bind to the Emax Tiny Hawk? The Tiny Hawk is a standard analog video transmitter. Any 5 gigahertz analog module would work with it. Any of them. They all work. Ian F. points out the calendar doesn't open correctly on a phone. Yeah. That's why it's a secret hidden page on my website. It's not published yet. Anonix wants to know if the 95X makes the cut as a Cinewhoop. I actually have a quick video review of the 95X that I recorded today. It's not even on the calendar. Let me let you decide. The Beta FPV 95X, does it make the cut? Let's see. Which one? I think it's this one. Okay. No sound for this because it's just a DVR. This is the Beta FPV 95X with the Vista, the Caddx Vista in it. I gave it one rip today and recorded my opinions. I've flown several packs, but I just did one rip for the video. See what you think of the Beta FPV 95X. Does it make the cut? I wouldn't call it a whoop. You're not going to be flying it indoors. That's for damn sure. But for outdoors, I don't know. It's not bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think better are going to come along. I think you'd, be better. It's lighter than an Acrobrat. Wish you could hear the motors. I mean, you can see it flies okay. The up tilt, it doesn't have as much up tilt as I was expecting. So when I come out of like a roll, I'm pitched back more than I think. I'm still adjusting to that. But it flies okay. It has decent flight time. I think if you want a pre-build with the Vista in it right now, it's an okay choice. But I think Beta FPV really cobbled the Vista into it. It was originally designed for like a Cadix Tarsier or something. And, there's a fence. And it's kind of cobbled together a little bit. Anyway, this is a little preview of the 95X. Bren the Wizard, that is a Scamp. My wife just got that for herself. I don't know why she wants a trailer. She said she wanted to be able to leave at a moment's notice and have all her things all ready to go. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, whatever you want. So she bought a trailer. No, I'm just joking. Everything's fine. Anyway, there you go. I think it flies okay. I think there's better stuff out there. I'm not a big fan of the ducted design for outdoor flying. I prefer open props for outdoor flying. And the thing is, the 95X is powerful and fast enough that it's not great for indoor flying, so why does it have ducts? I'm not really sure what the 95mm class is for, to be honest with you. But if you like 95mm and you want HD, well, there you go. All right. That's the end of that. That video will come out on my channel soon with my commentary, but you kind of just got it. Focus for Life is going in blind for the ham test this weekend. Don't do that, dude. Go to hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org, they have sample tests. Take the sample tests. The thing is, Focus for Life, they're going to ask you random BS like, if it's cloudy and it's the 6th of May, which frequency is better to bounce off of the UVA to get a signal over to Australia? And you're going to be like, what? But if you've taken the sample test, then you'll just have memorized the answer. I think you're unlikely to pass that test blind unless you have been a ham radio operator for a long time and just know that stuff. What do you need to get a ham license, Harrison Grant? It's not hard. I mean, the test is like 30 questions or something. Just go to hamstudy.org and take the sample tests. And just keep taking the sample tests until you know all the answers, and then you'll pass. That's what I do. Octoprint. Brian Ladmero wants me to get Octoprint for my printer. Here's why I don't have Octoprint. So to get Octoprint, you need a Raspberry Pi, and that's like, basically when you add up all the things you need to put Octoprint, it's like $100. And I'm like, would I pay $100 to avoid having to take the SD card out and walk over to my printer? And I just can't do it. Is there a way to get into Octoprint for under like $100 per printer? I mean, I'm not sure. I wouldn't, yeah. I don't know about that. Newbie Drone brushless. Oh, Pencilvester, good question. Newbie Drone did send, oh no. Newbie Drone brushless. Crap. Well, I don't know. Where should the Newbie Drone brushless go, guys? What are we going to bump? Now, Cinewhoop Week is locked in. Cinewhoop Week is non-negotiable. Where's Newbie Drone brushless go? What should I bump? You see the dilemma. And you're like, well, what about Mondays? I know, but I have to have... Trust me. Trust me. 2 live streams and 4 videos a week. That's like, I will go crazy. All right, I'm waiting. See my problem. Where should it go? I don't know anything about the release. Here we go. So the February 26th is the next open product review slot. So let's take February 26th and call that the Newbie Drone brushless review. I just put the product name. We'll label that video, and we'll move that to the approved column. Okay. Newbie Drone brushless, February 26th. There you go. A month from now. See the problem, though? Like, I could do like this video, how to wire a flight controller. I'm so excited about this video. You guys don't know. But I could just do product reviews and nothing but product reviews forever and just leave all this good educational stuff behind. Anyway. Raspberry Pi is $30, Big Data Pimp. Are you sure about that? Because, I mean... Octoprint. Where's the Raspberry Pi? You need a Raspberry Pi, but not just any Raspberry Pi. What do you need? Raspberry Pi is any Raspberry Pi, micro USB cable, power adapter, Wi-Fi adapter. So here's the Raspberry Pi 3 model B+. It's, oh, come on. Amazon.de. Model B+, $51. Don't tell me it's there is, you know. There's Wi-Fi built in. Oh, okay. Anyway, you get a case for it. You say Raspberry Pi, $30, but you got a DC adapter for it. It all comes out to like 60, maybe $60. Anyway. You can do it for under $50. I might pay $50 to put Octoprint. I might pay $50. John Solo, I don't think there are any more FCC certified VTXs. There used to be one, and now they don't make it anymore. Daytona Jim 78, thank you for the $2 holla. Enigma 4506, I already got you. We're caught up. The Pi Zero, they said they didn't recommend the Pi Zero W, though. No, it specifically said Pi Zero W not recommended. Anyway. You can run multiple printers on one Pi, Brian Ladmiral, but from what I've heard, it's a pain in the ass to actually get the multiple Octoprint instances running, and it's not reliable. What PID sliders do I need to eliminate prop wash on a toothpick build running Betaflight 4.1? On a toothpick build, anytime you're trying to eliminate prop wash, the first thing to do is to get as little filtering as possible without smoking your motors or having flyaways. So first move the filter sliders to the right, disable the gyro filters. If the sliders go all the way to 2.0, you can think about disabling the gyro filters. The less filtering you have, the better your prop wash handling will be, right up until the point where you smoke a motor or get a flyaway. So don't do that. Once the filters are as little as you can afford, then start raising D-gain. And at that point, once you start to hit the limit of excess D-gain, it's not going to get much better than that. You could try lowering P-gain, but that'll usually start to compromise handling in a way you don't like. Brent Vogelsang points out that I can print the case for the Raspberry Pi. You got me there, Brent. You're right. I don't have to buy the case for the Raspberry Pi. I can print. I'm still not thinking with portals when it comes to 3D printing. Micro Center has the Pi B Plus for $34. Apparently I need to look around more. Did the Beetle feel sturdy through crashes? Asks your innate. You're talking about the Transtech Beetle. So far, the Transtech Beetle. Where is it? It's not here. It's been pretty good in crashes. We've mostly crashed it in trees. Sadly, not on the ground. It's been okay, though. It's been okay. The plastic, I haven't flown it like in a concrete environment, and maybe the plastic hood would just break. I don't know about that. Red October RC, I don't know anything about Snake FPV or why his channel is gone. I don't know anything about that. Where's my Fresca? Not drinking Fresca tonight, riding Durance. Hate Eternal Maver wants me to explain set home point once. Hate Eternal Maver, I think you're talking about the Betaflight option. Normally, when you're using a GPS, Betaflight resets the home point every time you arm the quad. So if you do a Mr. Steel perch, you land and disarm the quad and you perch on a building, that's your new home point. Well, you may not want that. Set home point once means that Betaflight sets the GPS home point when you first arm, and then never again after that, after power up. Fly Lots asks, when will BLHeli32 release a version for Mac? Current version doesn't display correctly. I have not heard of that yet, Fly Lots. I suspect that's an issue with you or your computer, but I don't have a Mac to confirm that. So, yeah. Zimherji JWT says Snake is now a pro flyer. His videos could have been a liability. Maybe his employer said, "Nah, we don't want our employee having that stuff up." Maybe that's possible. The FPV goggles behind me, Joshua Lefto, are the Eachine EV300D. They just came in the mail today, and I will be doing a review of them eventually. Check my editorial calendar that I was showing earlier if you want to know more about that. The big question that everybody is going to want to know is, how is the latency? Kebab guessed that they had like 300 milliseconds of latency. Painless 360 measured them at about 100 milliseconds of latency, which is still crap. And I begged Banggood. Thank you, Banggood. Sent me these. Banggood sent me these. I begged Banggood to send me a set so that I could review them and test them. And I haven't tested the latency, but I'm curious. I mean, Kebab got it, and I was like, well, Kebab he has the reviewer's curse. He gets everything bad. And Eachine build quality is, like, not the worst, but not the best. So I was like, well, maybe Kebab just got a bad set. But then Painless 360 also said the latency wasn't good, and I was like, ooh, that's cute. We're gonna stick with the factory. Oh, wow. Diopter adjustment. That's nice. I mean, oh, it's an 18650 case. It doesn't have batteries in it. Oh, well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying these out, but not right this minute. Yeah, I want to know what I think about the EV300D too. I'm very excited about a $300 goggle with, I really want to get a battery. Hang on. I'm really excited about a $300 goggle with a screen this good. The resolution and the field of view, it's LCOS, not OLED, so it's not gonna be as good, I don't think. Where's the on button? Is there an on button? There's the power button. IPD adjustment is not the loosest I've ever felt. Now let's check the diopter. Diopter of minus, oh, it goes to -8. Are you for real? It actually has more diopter adjustment than I need. Holy crap. That is the first time that has ever happened. Let's go to -7 diopter. Actually, I'm like -675. Interesting. This may be the first glasses where I don't have to, well, the HDOs, I guess. All right. Usually I just set it, okay. And, oh, well, that looks pretty good. All right, I got to get a quad up. Hang on. viewing products in live, viewing products in real time on the live stream. No, that's DJI. Here's a non-DJI quad. Gotta have a non-DJI quad. Well, what am I going to show? There's nothing to see. There's nothing to see. It's just like my desk. It's in a dark room with night outside. There's nothing to see. Okay, how do I change channels? Band A. So we definitely want to be on race band, I'm sure. Okay. It's not as good as OLED. Nah, the blacks, you clearly don't have the black level of OLED. It doesn't look bad. Probably looks better than LCD. How's the latency? Can't tell. I gotta just test it. Anyway. There you go. A little mini review of the E300D. Okay. There you go. Yeah. I was hoping it would look better, as good as the OLED, but it doesn't. I mean, what looks good as OLED, right? Nothing looks good as OLED. The eyelash test, I don't have the foam on there. So where's the phone? What the hell? Nah, all right. We'll put those away for now. Anonix wants to know, can I charge the Orca battery with the charger for 2S Whoop batteries, or should I just wait for the barrel adapter to arrive? No, Anonix, charge off the 2S Whoop battery. It's fine. It's two 18650 cells in there. You can just charge off the balance lead. Kebab said the Dom V3s look better than the HDOs. Like, on what planet? I agree with you here, Psycho. Like, sometimes I feel like some reviewers say things just to be ornery. Like, in what world can the Dom V3 look better than the HDOs? It makes no sense. Dylan Jonathan, do I use Loctite? I should, but I often don't. Bren the Wizard, why would you soft mount a battery? To keep the battery from digging into the screws on the top plate and getting damaged. Do I wear glasses in my DJI goggles, says DJ Dubs. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Should I jump to the DJI FPV system instead of Fat Sharks? Patrick Swindle. Patrick, find some way to look in the DJI HD system and see if you think the money's worth it for you. Many people feel that it is worth it. Is Attitude V5 the best at $300? Sam, the Attitude V5 OLED screen looks amazing, but the 16:10 aspect ratio drives me crazy because internally the Attitude takes a 4:3 signal and then chops the top and bottom off to get 16:10, which is like so dumb. Why not just squish it? Okay, squishing it I would be annoyed too, but I hate that. Calabrese 221 wants to know if I will review the HDO2 with Bitefrost. I don't see the point in doing that, Calabrese. I mean, I reviewed the Bitefrost. What is the HDO2 going to bring to the equation that changes the fundamental experience of using Bitefrost? It's just a different display device. So I tested Bitefrost with the HDOs. Bitefrost isn't suddenly going to it isn't suddenly going to go from 400 milliwatts to 800 milliwatts just because I slap an HDO2 on there. So, that's what I would say. I'm not sure I'm going to take the time to do that. Look at my editorial calendar. Where in here does it make sense to go back? Which of these videos should I bump to go retest Bitefrost just to see if HDO2 makes a difference? I don't see it. I don't see it. Brian Ladmiral wants to know if 2 gyros can give you orientation issues. If you have dual gyros and you have the wrong orientation set for one of them, then yeah, when that then they're going to conflict. Ali Muiz wants to know if he should get the DJI controller or stick to the Jumper T16. If you have any quads that don't have the DJI controller, the DJI Air unit, then stick with the T16 because you don't want to have two controllers. It is nice not having to put a receiver on a quad. The DJI controller is nice for that. But because I have a lot of quads that don't have DJI in them, I still use the T16 for everything. Jaloban, thanks for $5 in the super chat. Shout out to my Welsh corgi buddy. He's over 13 years old and is dying. He's chased micros for years. Such a great friend. Sorry to hear that, man. That's too bad. I'm glad you're able to. I hope you're able to be with him. UFDA crew, thank you for $10. We're working around the clock to do all that we can. We will have guidelines in place to make sure our voice is heard in the right way, so don't cripple us. In other words, don't bring your stinking drone to the protest and dive bomb the FAA headquarters, you morons. We're trying to make a point, and the point is not regulate us, please. Don't bring your freaking drone to Washington for the UFDA protest. We'll slap the transmitter right out of your hand. If you come to the protest and you see somebody pulling out a drone, do not make us look bad. You are ruining the hobby. Remember I said, don't point the finger at people within the hobby. Fight. You bring a drone to the UFDA protest and you dive bomb the FAA headquarters. You are ruining the hobby. What about a tiny whoop? Well, maybe a tiny whoop. Have you seen any defective jumper T16 units? Yeah, just dentures. I think there's a batch of jumpers out there that got afflicted by the Chinese New Year curse. The Chinese New Year curse is that the last batch of anything that leaves the factory just before Chinese New Year is full of defects because everybody's rushing to get it out before the holiday. I've heard a bunch of stories only lately. For the longest time, jumpers been like, not perfect, but pretty solid hardware-wise. And then recently, like, there's a whole bunch of people reporting the scroll wheel is not working. And I'm like, oh, I'm just blaming it on Chinese New Year's. Airwolf FPV, thank you for $2. I feel the need for speed. Bring your quads, but don't fly, says UFDA. We'll group up and drive 30 minutes out of D.C., and then we send it together. Remember, guys, almost all of Washington, D.C. is a no-fly zone. And we're not talking like a tee-hee, no-fly zone. We're talking like the Secret Service is going to come talk to you, no-fly zone. So, yeah. No fly. Period. I have no idea what that is. Okay. Well, that's going up in the chat. So thanks for that. Wow. Wow, that picture. Look at my laptop in that picture. No stickers on my laptop. Wow. That was a long time ago. Got the old Elmway Commander box in the back. And all those King Kong props. All my quads. Look at all my quads with the same King Kong props on them. Good old days. All right. Scroll wheel is just a loose or reversed cable. Well, Brent, maybe the cable's flipped. Maybe it's loose. I've had people who tried to fix it by messing with it, and it's like, sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know. Somebody sent me that picture. I don't know why I'm lasering Stu. Someone thought it was funny. I think it's funny. George Murray says, I've been practicing in the sim for about a week now. When should I bring out my drone? I have a sweet DJI FPV Cinewhoop just sitting on the desk. George Murray, here's the thing, dude. I know you can't wait to go fly, and if you just can't wait to do it, just go do it and just do your best. But I would say my recommendation is to practice in the sim, until you can take off, fly around a little bit with control, and kind of land where you intend to. Here's what a lot of people's experience is like. You take off, and then you're like, crash. If that's you, that's what's going to happen with your real quad. Except when you crash, it'll be in a tree or in a lake or across the street or at the end of the field, and you'll have to go walk and get it. So if that's happening to you in the simulator, it's just going to happen in real life, and you may as well just stay in the simulator. That's my opinion. And then when you go for it in real life, have like an open field, like a soccer field or something. Don't try to do it like in a park with trees if you can, because it's going to be, yeah, you'll have better luck. Some people start in real life and they're just like, yeah, I got it. That's fine. But the simulator will give you a good idea of about how it's going to go. Joe Gray in the Discord says, don't fly until you can consistently hit gates in the sim. I mean, the thing is, like, the people are just so eager to go fly in real life. So, like, you got to balance that out. You can't just be like, no, eat your broccoli. Just keep eating that broccoli. You'll get the steak tomorrow. Eventually, the people just get tired of broccoli and they want to just go fly. So, practice in the sim. I mean, there's a point where you're just like, okay, I'm going to go for it. What's the best video to share with outsiders that explains the implications of remote ID? That's tough, Flap Around FPV. I'm not sure that there is a short one. Most people aren't going to sit through a 20-minute essay. And most people don't understand. See, the thing is, I think the FAA is guilty of not realizing how, like, I would bet you that no one in the FAA knew that people build airplanes from foam board. Like, how does that fit into this paradigm? It doesn't. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they just didn't know. And the thing is that other people, the public, may not also be aware of that. So you face a two-pronged problem. Number one, you have to educate them about what the NPRM threatens. And then you have to educate them about why the NPRM threatens it. Because if you just say, well, people won't be able to build drones, they'll be like, oh, okay, I guess I'm fine with that. Why do I care? No, but STEM programs. Oh, STEM programs are good, right? So it's a really big challenge. It's a really big challenge. And it's tough. I'm not sure what the best concise video to communicate the message is. Not only what the NPRM threatens to do, but what we threaten to lose and why you should care. Mr. Pinky 1, if you find videos about the FCC and laws boring as crap, then see ya. I'm sorry, dude. This is an existential threat. If you think this isn't an existential threat for FPV, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's like the freaking Titanic is going down and somebody's shouting, put your lifeboats on, put your life jackets on, get in the... And you're like, oh my God, another lifeboat video. Oh man, I hate it when the first mate tells us about lifeboats. And it's like, yeah, but like normally, like you get on the plane and this is a much better analogy. Forget the Titanic. No, this is way better. You get on the plane and the flight attendant is like, put your life vest on and you're like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But like then when the plane is actually going down and she's like, put your life vest on, you're like, I need to know this information. This is the time to care. This is the time to care. It's not, if you already left your comment, then yeah, okay, check out. There's not anything more for you to do right now, mostly. Will commenting really help? Zero Toll. Here's the thing, Zero Toll. I understand the cynicism that commenting won't help. Someone told me that it's really important that we comment. And I believe them. So I'm doing it. And I think you should too. Even if you think it won't help. Jacob Stringfellow, I hope that there are schools with STEM programs writing comments. If you are a teacher with a STEM program that would be affected, write a comment, please, for God's sake. Tell them how this will affect you. Yeah. Don't fly on concrete the first time you fly. I agree with that advice. Hate Eternal Maver, you're right. It's important to raise awareness that we even exist. This is a point that the Flight Test Community Association video made, to just tell the FAA, I'm out here and here's what I do, because they don't even know we exist. Thoughts on the iNav software, asks Bobby Jack T. I really want to know what you think of it. iNav is fantastic if you want to do autonomous flight, but it's not the best for freestyle. You can write comments, but nobody is listening, Mr. Peaky1. Mr. Peaky1, I'm telling you. So first of all, Mr. Peaky1, this is not just like a letter to your editor. In the United States, before a federal regulation gets enacted, so the way it works is Congress passes a law that, see, Mr. Peaky, now you're bored and you've checked out. Whatever. Congress passes a law that says we need a regulation. And then the FAA is tasked with coming up with the rules for the regulation. But before the FAA can do that, the law says they must open up a 60-day comment period for public comments on the regulations so that people can tell the regulatory body how they will be affected. And so this is not like the gun control laws have already been passed and you're trying to write a letter to your senator to get them changed. This is specifically a window of time when the FAA is legally mandated to ask you for your opinion and to listen when you give it. And then they can ignore it, but you shouldn't assume that they will. And in fact, I have had communications from people who say that people in the FAA need to hear this. That we should absolutely not blow off the comment period and assume that it's meaningless. So don't do that. Peter Pan, where's the link to leave a comment? Peter Pan, I'm going to suggest that you start learning. Go to the FPV Freedom Coalition, fpvfc.org, and other websites to learn about the NPRM. So don't just go toss off a half-assed comment without educating yourself about what to say and how best to have your voice heard. So I'm not going to put the link here. I will be coming out with a video soon talking about what I plan to say and what you might say and telling you more about that, but I'm not going to put that right now. Siati is here. Siati is going to be streaming in just about 15 minutes when I wrap up. Siati will be streaming. What are you doing tonight, Siati? Wow, that's a surefire way to get... Wow, what's the deal, Bread? Who pissed in your cornflakes, dude? I'm going to leave your comment hidden, Bread. I don't know what your deal is or who you are. Keep it up, though. Doug V Live, no, traveling with lipos has not changed. It's the same. Midwest FPV, thank you for $5. Has anyone gotten smart audio to work with a Kakute F7 AIO? Yeah, I have. It's just a freaking UART. There's nothing special about that flight controller. If you're having trouble getting it to work and you're using Betaflight 4.1, it could be that you have some issue with VTX tables. Mr. Peaky1, the comments, I mean, I don't know how to put this any differently, dude. Talking doesn't solve anything. Well, I mean, what are you doing? Okay, so you don't think comments matter. What are you doing? Because you know what else doesn't solve anything? Going, that's pointless. So, like, okay, if you don't believe comments are the way to approach it, I still think you should leave a comment. But fine, screw it. And my goggle's been on this whole time. Screw it. Don't leave a comment. Go protest. Go write a letter to the FAA administrator. Go to Washington. Get a meeting with this guy and tell him what you think. But whatever you do, don't go, comments are pointless. And then just pretend the problem doesn't exist. And put down people who actually are working on the problem. Because, yes, repeating the same thing others have said does matter. Because when one person says the NPRM is a problem, they go, who's this guy? When 5,000 people say it's a problem, they are more likely to listen. Are they likely to listen? No. Somebody did a search of the current comments and found that 38% of the current comments are a copy-paste of the AMA's boilerplate letter. 38% of the current comments. Do you think someone's going to notice? And when the AMA comes to the FAA and says, do what we want, the fact that they got 2,500 people to send a letter in, that matters. They're going to have weight that someone else won't have because they got people to send in their boilerplate letter. That is absolutely a fact. Well, Mr. Picky One, if I have converted you, you're repeating the same thing to a captive audience. Has every single one of the 516 people right now watching, have you left a comment? I know you haven't, because some people are like, whoa, what? How do I leave a comment? So I'm not preaching to the converted. I'm getting the message out. And besides, at the beginning of this, you weren't even converted. You were arguing that we shouldn't leave comments. And now maybe you're converted. Oh, that'd be fantastic. Tyler FPV has been trying to figure out what caused this issue, and I'm convinced the GoPro mount came off during the turn. Before the GoPro came off, caused it to go nuts. Is it possible a zip tie pushed the gyro in a weird place or something like that? Yeah, well, I mean, we can look at your flight, but... Oops. We can look at your flight, but, I mean, if it... Oh, geez. Just spinning. I don't... That's pretty weird, dude. I mean, if it flies fine now, but the gyro came off and it did this, then... I mean, the GoPro mount came off and it did this. I guess that's plausible, but that sure is weird. I would almost suspect, like, a yaw gimbal problem. I mean, that's weird that it just started flat spinning like that. I wouldn't think a loose GoPro mount would normally cause that. Mr. Pinky, stop being negative. Stop being negative. You are hurting the cause, dude. I'm sorry to call you out personally, and I don't think you're a bad person or anything. But when you say things like, we can all jump down 1,000 times, but we're only 500 people, nobody cares what we think, you are making it less likely that people who hear your message will comment, and they need to comment. Say things that will encourage people to comment. Say, we're only 500 people, but we still have to do our part. Or just don't say anything. Don't say anything. And Picky, I'm not picking on you. I mean, I am picking on you, and I apologize for that. But I mean, fair game. You're making comment. You're still responding. I'm picking on... You're not the only one out there who's saying things like that, and it matters. It matters. Okay. All right. I'm going to put you in timeout so that I stop responding to you because I apparently cannot keep my freaking head together. No offense, dude. I'm putting you in timeout just so I can move on. Fly Lots, thank you for $5 Canadian. Yes, if you're outside the U.S., you still should leave comments. Let's Led One, thank you for $5. My thank you for this week. Espionage FPV, thank you for $5. I need FAA context. I have a 3-star general who wants to write a letter to the FAA about how much hobbyists influence innovation with the DoD. Espionage FPV, email me, and I can try to help you out with that. Yeah. espionage, definitely email me so we can discuss that. Arctic Ice Drone, thank you for 22 Norwegian kroner. Can the 48K be done on the Mamba F7 Mini stack? The Mamba F7 Mini stack, is that BL Heli S or BL Heli 32? That's the big question. The Mamba F7 Mini stack, it's a 20 by 20, so it's probably BL Heli S, but not 100%. Thank you, Mix Rampage. You've helped me fix pretty much every issue I've had with my quad. Thank you, dude. D-Shot 1200 suggests it's BL Heli 32. Is it BL Heli 32? If it's BL Heli 32, then you can just set it to 48K. I can't tell from the product page whether it's BL Heli S or BL Heli 32. If it's BL Heli 32, just set it to 48K. You don't need to flash any weirdness. If it's BL Heli S, yes, you can flash JESC to it. I'm like 99% sure. Thank you, Anthony Short, for $10. Hero Psycho is telling me all F7 Mamba stacks are BL Heli 32. So Arctic Ice Drone, you do not need to flash JESC or anything like that. You just go into BL Heli 32 and set it to 48K. Yep. Should you use different props going from 4S to 6S? Jeff Freestyle FPV asks. Jeff Freestyle, most of the time when people talk about going to 6S, they mean 6S low KV. So they'll go from 4S 2400 KV to 6S 1700 KV, and the resulting RPM is about the same. So no, you don't need to change props. What matters is the RPM at the motor more than the KV, than the battery voltage. Burker Kenatar wants to know if you can use multi-shot or one-shot on a standard PWM ESC like a T-Motor Air 40. I mean, it has to have firmware that supports that. Is it a BL Heli ESC? Because like all BL Heli ESCs support one-shot or D-shot. But if it's legit just like an old-style PWM ESC, no, you cannot use multi-shot or one-shot. It would not understand the pulses. I flashed JESC to a Beta FPV 2.1 Meteor 65 and lost an ESC. Are you aware of a way to reflash the memory to the board? Asks Quaderex. Quaderex, if the ESC doesn't even read anymore, then I don't know how you can get it back. If it reads, but it has like garbled characters, you can flash it. You need to enable the ignore inappropriate hardware layout option. It's in the upper left of the flashing dialog. But if it doesn't read at all, I don't know how to get it back. I've heard more than one person report that they flashed JESC to an ESC and lost ESC number 1. I don't know how that would happen, but more than one person has reported it. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Yeah. Lynx wants to know if there's any way of getting turtle mode on my brushed Beta 65S. The answer to that is no. It is possible to reverse brushed motors, but most, if not all, brushed flight controllers don't include the necessary FET circuit to do it. They can only drive the motors one way. The only brushed quad that I know of that can do turtle mode is the newbie drone brushed Acroby. Yep, Pencilvester confirms. Skull 1964 wants to know, so he dropped solder on his F4 chip, and he wants to try to replace the F4 chip, but he's not sure if you need to do any pre-flash to the chip before it'll work with a Betaflight flight controller. So if you just take and I'm asking this question to the chat because I don't know the answer. If you just take a hot air gun and you desolder the F405 and you replace it with another chip, can you just go ahead and flash it and it just works? Does anybody in the chat know the answer? You know who you should ask is Leaveview FPV. Leaveview would know the answer. Mr. Pinky One, you're back. Thanks for the free speech move, dude. It was not about stifling your free speech. It was about stifling my desire to argue with you. It is my lack of self-control that I am responding to by putting you in timeout. See, it's happening again. However, you don't have free speech in my chat room. I can kick you out anytime I want if I don't like how the live stream is going or I don't like how you're behaving. This is not a public space. This is my live stream. And, you know, there you go. But anyway, like I said, nothing about what you're saying. It's just about my desire to move on. Think of it as a personal flaw of me, if it makes you feel better. Alphalit FPV, he was having trouble getting the blob off. I don't know the answer. Yeah. But he thought, I don't know what kind of situation you would find yourself in where you feel like you could completely replace the chip, but you couldn't clean the solder off the pins. I mean, isn't that kind of the same thing that you're going to be doing? Yeah. Joe Sa has a good point. If you're using the DJI remote, remember that the settings for endpoints and output direction affect all air units, not just the one you make the changes for. Yeah, Joe, the changes you're making to your DJI controller are the controller, and the controller communicates all that stuff to the air units. Now, that's nice because it means all your quads are synced up, but if you did want to have one air unit that has unique setting, then oops, then you can't do that. I don't even think you can do that. Ox points out that the TBS Nano also does turtle mode. Okay, that's 2. Alrighty. We are coming to the end of the stream in just about 3 minutes. Aaron Ciotti is going to be streaming on his channel, and anybody who can't get enough streaming is going to move over there. Does the DJI controller have different models? No, it does not. There is one DJI controller setting for all your receivers. What's my experience with APD ESCs? Asks Eden Fixel. They're rock solid. I do wish they supported bidirectional D-Shot for RPM filtering, which they don't as far as I know. There's Ciotti posting a link to his live stream. Is there a way to boot directly into model select with the T16? I don't think so, FPV Lovecraft. Thank you, Risky Biscuits. Popular Mechanics says the likelihood of reflowing a chip to a PCB that size and being successful is not high. I agree, but I mean, hey, if it's ruined anyway, go for it. Let's see here. We're coming to the end here, guys. Sorry about a little bit of arguing and stuff. I apologize for that. I mean, I feel passionate about this topic, and I think we should all feel passionate about this topic, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good to spend 20 minutes of a live stream on it. So, anyway, that's okay. There will always be another live stream. Jack asks, when does the stream end? In exactly 1 minute, Jack. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out Aaron Ciotti's stream. It's coming up on his channel. He's going to post the link. This week on my channel, Cinewhoop Roundup. I've got 4 ready to fly, bind to fly Cinewhoops, and we're going to be trying to figure out which the best. Cinewhoops are so cool. I had so much fun flying Paul Nurkel in Seattle, and I was like, and apparently I was right, because everybody's doing Cinewhoops now. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for this live stream. Thank you guys so much for coming out. And I will see you guys next time. Next Sunday. Sunday at 1 p.m. Monday at 8 p.m. Happy flying, everybody.